Call the meeting to order. Ladies and gentlemen, if you've not been here before, the city council meets the third Tuesday every month at 6 o'clock. I'd like to also recognize some media people or person, Jerry Hunt, managing editor of the Eaton News. Jerry, glad you're here. Anybody else here from the media? That's the only one. Item one. Item two, invocation. Sue Ann Morris, pastor of First United Methodist Church, and that'll be followed by the Pledge of Allegiance to be led by Jerry Ellis. Please stand.
Let us pray. Our most gracious God, we do praise you for this beautiful day that you have given us. We thank you for this time that we've gathered together, the leaders of this wonderful city that we call Eden, that you would, Lord, bless them with a clarity of mind to make decisions that are for the best of all and the good of all. We know that you tell us to pray for one another and especially to pray for our leadership. And so we pray for them, knowing that if they trust you in all decisions, things will be well. In Jesus Christ's name, amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please proceed. Item 4, recognitions and proclamations. A, recognition of Alicia Parker of Royalty Health and Wellness for the 2016 Young Entrepreneur Award. Mr. Doherty.
Alicia, can you come join me? In late September, the North Carolina Rural Center has their Rural Assembly, and there they honor many different businesses throughout the state, and it was my pleasure to see that somebody from Eden was honored as the Young Entrepreneur of the Year Award. And I want to just read what they said about her. Alicia Parker is owner and director of Royalty Health and Wellness Resources, PC, a registered nurse, and a participant in the Rural Center's New Generation Ventures program. She joined Ventures with the vision of starting a home health care agency after noticing the aging population in her community and the need for quality care to help assist this population. During her time as a Ventures client, she has faced many challenges, but despite them all, Alicia has still made her business a success. Royalty Health and Wellness Resources now has 30 employees. It's one of the top home health care companies in Rockingham County, serving over 35 clients. So, Alicia, you may want to show the award that you got from the Rural Center. And also, we wanted to give you something to honor this great award from the City Council. And really glad your business is doing well. Thank you so much for being part of our community.
Item 4B, proclamation of Veterans Day. Do we have any veterans in here? If you do, please stand. Okay, there's 3 of us in here. This is about Veterans Day. Anybody else? Thank you, Dennis. Thank you for your service. This is a Veterans Day proclamation. Whereas our veterans are part of the unbroken chain of men and women who have served our country with honor and distinction. And whereas our men and women in uniform have taught us about strength, duty, devotion, and resolve, cornerstones of a commitment to protect and defend that has kept our country safe over 200 years. In war and in peace, their service has been selfless and their accomplishments have been extraordinary. And whereas it is our task to honor our veterans by fulfilling our responsibilities to them and upholding the sacred trust we share with all who have served. And whereas we are called to reflect on the immeasurable burdens that have been borne by so few, and we pay tribute to our wounded, our missing, our fallen, and their families. And whereas we also remember that our commitments are those who have served our commitments, we must honor not only on Veterans Day, but every day. And whereas on Veterans Day, we show our veterans our deepest thanks by participating in many patriotic activities in our community. And again, for you guys as veterans, thank you very much for serving. Item 5, roll call. Let the record show that all members of council, city manager, city attorney are present. No public hearings, requests, and petitions of citizens. We have three people on here to speak. First one is Marie Dunn, 711 Franklin Drive.
Mr. Mayor, did we set the agenda for this meeting?
I'm sorry. I sure did. Item 6, set the meeting agenda. Council, we're going to delete item 9, audit presentation. That'll be done at the December meeting. Any other additions or deletions? If not, then is there a motion to accept the agenda? We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Any more discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The meeting agenda is set. No public hearings, then requests and petitions of citizens. The first person is Marie Dunn, 711 Franklin Drive. Ms. Dunn, could you come up? Give us your name and address, even though I've said it.
Yes, I'm Marie Dunn. I am the resident at 711 Franklin Drive now. Me and my husband just bought the place on November the 8th. And apparently there's a question of the city water being inside or outside city rates and the trash pickup being involved in that. When I came to turn the water on the 10th, because we moved in on the 8th, signed the papers on the 8th, moved in. On the 10th, I talked to somebody at the water department and they said it would be outside city rates. Now, when we bought the home, it was inside city rates because our house is on the line. Half of our property is in, half of our property is out of the city. So they told me that it would be outside city rates as opposed to inside city rates, what it has been up to this point. And it was told to us by the real estate agent that that's what it was. At any rate, I understand that we need to either be annexed in or continue with outside rates. And I was told that there was a letter being mailed out to other people there on Franklin Drive that have been in the past paying out inside city rates, and they would be changed to outside city rates. And I understand that the city needs either outside city rates or taxes for the city. I understand that. I was angry to find this out, but I've since come to the conclusion that I understand where y'all are coming from. The thing that I need to clarify is that we came into that property with the understanding that it was inside city rates and that we would have trash pickup. Now, if we pay outside city rates or annexed is the question. If we are annexed in, I would like to know how long it would be to annex into the city for our property. And the other thing is, I understand that it will be the people that are being alerted to this now are given until January for the change. Now, I would like to also be accepted to be until January to accept that change, since I came into this property understanding that it was inside city rates and there would be trash pickup. Now, my trash can was picked up today off of my carport. So right now, we have an issue with trash because there is no cans, no receptacles available for waste management until January. So we would be willing to start the process to be annexed in tomorrow, for our whole property to be part of the city, and for us to keep the trash can and be able to pay inside city rates. I just need to know how long that's gonna take, and if we can continue with the way that it was set up originally until January, just like the other properties that are being alerted to the change.
Who should we talk to about this?
Yeah.
Work with?
Well, let me go ahead and address a couple things. The first thing is, as far as the annexation, what you would need to do is just get with Ms. Stoltz, who's right there. That would probably be about a 60-day process. As far as the reason we made the determination, and of course, if the council wants us to extend that to January, we certainly can, was that to go ahead and change you now was that despite what your realtor told you, the city didn't tell you that. That's what your realtor, let me finish, please. Your realtor told you that. And when you came in, the people in billing and collections told you that you would be outside the city. So, they immediately, that you were outside the city.
When I came to sign up for water, they told me it would be outside the city.
That's right.
Before we bought the property, we called the city and asked, and it was inside city rates. My husband came to the city and spoke face to face with a person, and they said inside city rates and trash pickup.
Well, I don't know about, that's the first I've heard about that, but if they did, then obviously that was a mistake. Back in 1992, somebody did, that's why multiple properties there on Franklin Drive incorrectly. The line goes through those properties, but most of the structures are outside the city limits. None of those properties were paying city taxes, yet they were receiving the inside rates, which the previous owners to your property were receiving that as well. Which, you can't, the citizens can't have it both ways. You either pay city taxes and you get the benefit of city services and city rates, or you don't pay city taxes and then you would have your solid waste services provided by the county through waste management, and you would pay double on the water and sewer. I think, it's up to you all, but I think given the fact that she has expressed a desire to start the petition process to be voluntary annexed into the city, if it's okay with you, I don't have a problem with asking Ms. McMichael to go ahead in the interim and bill her with the inside rates, and to ask Mr. Carter to return the refuse collection can tomorrow, if you like.
So is that what you want to do? You want to be annexed in the city?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. I don't see a problem with it either.
That's only fair because
I think it's a fair thing considering the situation you were put in, didn't know and didn't understand it. But I mean, I don't know of any instance ever that people living outside the city that got city rates that they were outside of the city, unless there was some mistake in the past or something. But that's not allowed, obviously. But
And
anyway,
I
I don't see a
understand
reason
that
why we
completely.
shouldn't work with you on trying to accommodate you as much as we can considering the situation.
Thank you.
Okay?
What did the title search show when you purchased the house? I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see you.
I'm sorry. What did the title search when you purchased the house show?
I really don't know. I know that the property, the city line goes through our property, but as far as I'm understanding, the bedrooms of your house have to be inside the city for it to be inside rates. But the city line goes through our property. The tap is inside the city. Our house is outside the city.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Anything else?
No, sir.
We'll try to work with you on that. I'm sorry that happened. But,
Thank you. I appreciate it.
But we'll try to work with you the best way we can. Thank you for speaking. Next person is Kathy Lemons, and I think Ms. Lemons wants to speak under new business at 11C when we bring this up. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Next one is Andy Powell, 132 Landfill Road. Mr. Powell, you want to come up?
We're connected.
He's the property owner for that same case.
Okay, you want to speak at the same time then? Okay. Seth Woodall.
I'm here on, in regards to the order for demolition on Monroe Street. I'd like to reserve my statements until we reach 11B.
Okay, all right. Skip over item 9. 10, unfinished business. Okay, 11, new business. Approval of boards and commission appointments. Ms. Stokes.
Yes, sir, we provided you all with this list just simply to get you thinking about these things because they'll need to be made as close to the end of this year as possible, either December or January if we're all lucky. I'm not expecting any of you to have names tonight. If you do, we'll be glad to get them. But we just wanted to make you aware and get this in your thought process.
Good.
I'll be glad to discuss with you any of the appointments that have been made from your ward in the past, dealing with the person's attendance and those kinds of things if you want to give me a call.
Thank you, Ms. Stokes. Item B, request to adopt an ordinance for the demolition of a structure at 628 Monroe Street under the City of Eden Human Habitation Ordinance. Ms. Stokes.
Yes, sir. This is an apartment building located between the old post office and the hair salon on Monroe Street. It was purchased at a tax foreclosure auction and has not been brought up to standard since then. The current value of the apartment building is $11,477 according to the tax department. The rule of thumb that the statutes have us use is would it cost more than 50% of that $11,000 to repair the building, and it's our opinion that it would. This is the front of the building, and there has been a problem for the various business owners and the like in this neighborhood because it stays open. You can see this is a view inside the door of the ground floor. These pictures are a little hard for the folks in the audience to see, but you can see that there are numerous repairs that would need to be made before this thing can be inhabited by people, or we could allow the power, anything like that to come on. There's the eaves again. Based on that, my staff and I would like to recommend to you that you permit us and do the order so that we can demolish this structure.
Okay. Mr. Woodall. Could you give us your name and address and who you're representing, please?
My name is Seth Woodall. My office's address is 645 Drive in Eden. I'm here representing Mr. Wise, who's the owner of the property on Monroe Street. At this time, it would be our request to the council to consider two options for this property. Mr. Wise has owned this property for approximately 2 years, I believe, and I believe 4 years. He's owned this property for approximately 4 years. The photos that were just submitted to the council appear to be photographs from over probably 18 months ago to 2 years ago. We're not certain. It's the first time I saw those, but speaking to my client as we were going through those, it appears that those are old. Since that time, there has been some efforts to secure the property. I think a letter was sent out from the planning office. Mr. Wise went out and met with the inspector, boarded up and secured the property for safety purposes. Since that time, Mr. Wise has been unable to make any form of repairs necessary to the property, and that is through a court order that was entered into by Judge Grogan over in Wentworth in December of 2014. Mr. Wise has been undergoing a domestic matter with his ex-wife, Karen Wise, who has a marital interest in the property. And a restraining order was entered back in 2014 prohibiting him from disposing, wasting, or making any modifications or encumbering the property. So what he's done is when he purchased the property originally, it was just prior to the party separation. And at that time, his intent was to acquire the property, to borrow money against the property, and to make repairs and to make it habitable. It's my understanding that he actually met with Ms. Stoltz at some point and made a proposal to her that his intentions for the property would be on the bottom level to make retail space and the top level to make apartments. That is still his intentions for the property. Now, it is fair to say that the tax value is $11,000. However, Mr. Wise has invested more than that in it, and his intentions are certainly to try to bring this property back up to a habitable condition. It's my understanding the city's proposing to tear this down and then to, at a pretty excessive demolition cost that would then, I assume, try to be recouped from Mr. Wise. I don't think that's in the city's best interest. I don't think it's in Mr. Wise's best interest. And I would ask the council respectfully to deny that request. But I think probably a more reasonable request for tonight would be our request to table this issue for approximately 6 months to try to allow us the opportunity to get him out from under this order. Now, we have been litigating his domestic case for approximately 2 years now. We have a court date set for next week, next Wednesday, the 23rd. It is a calendar call date before Judge Strader that would set a date for the next week for the matter to be heard. Now, in all candor to the council, I don't believe that anything will be heard that next week, but I do think that the matter will be scheduled for further hearings. It's our hope that we'll have this matter resolved fully sometime before Christmas or early after New Year's. So with that being said, we would ask that this matter be tabled for approximately 6 months, allow him the opportunity to try to get out from under the restraining order that he is under at this time, and to make some satisfactory progress to the council and to the zoning and planning office of what his intentions are. So at this time, we would just ask that the council either deny the request for the demolition or, and what we believe is more reasonable, just table the issue for a later hearing.
So you're saying in 6 months, this thing should be up to code?
Well, that is contingent upon the court carrying out what we believe the court's going to carry out. You've all heard the saying, the wheels of justice turn slow. This is just one of those cases that we're in that's just taking some time. At no fault of Mr. Wise, it's taking some time. We believe that within 6 months, but in all candor to the council, I don't want to mislead the council, but we do believe that that is the case. I'm not certain as to what, if anything, the council or the zoning office has as far as intentions with the property. I haven't heard anything about what the intended use would be after the demolition and condemnation. But I don't believe at this time it would be appropriate to enter a demolition, given the fact that he is under an order prohibiting him from borrowing any money. And that is his ability to make these repairs, to bring it up to code, is contingent upon his ability to borrow money. And I have brought a copy of the order. It was entered by Judge Grogan for the council's review if they think that's appropriate.
Ms. Stoltz?
Yes, sir, I would like to have a copy of that for our files. We are not unfamiliar with Mr. Wise in our office. I have had numerous conversations with him over the years about various plans that he had for properties that he's bought across the community. This particular property has proven to be extremely difficult to keep closed. People get in it, and it has become a problem for the surrounding businesses. I know that we always like to work with property owners and avoid spending the public's money when we don't have to. I would recommend, first off, I still stand by we need to get it down. But if you all are inclined to grant some more time, I would recommend that I bring it back to the January meeting, and if he's not submitted plans and building permits, at that point, that we go ahead with the demo.
If I may
You
respond.
agreeable with that, Mr.
Well,
Woodall?
I think I understand what she's saying, that he will submit plans. Now, I can't tell the council or Ms. Stoltz that anything will be done as far as physically going out and making any repairs to the property by January. But if we want to come back in January and it's just a matter of him filling out an application to do some type of remodeling and construction, I don't think that would be an issue. I need to speak with him, but I don't think that would be an issue. Just
Okay,
to show
you-
the good faith effort. I
He
didn't mean
would
to
have
interrupt.
to hire a general contractor.
We deal with dilapidated properties every single month, and we hear the best of intentions, and I'd say rarely does anybody ever follow through on it. I know we have to go individually with this right here, but I know we put things off and put them off and put them off, and we still have these dilapidated properties around here, and the citizens complain about it all the time, and nothing's ever done about it.
Um,
That's nonstop.
Our attorney, Mrs. Gilly, and I were at the auction the day the property was bought. And I know that Mr. Wilson, I confused him with someone else. Mr. Wise has expressed the intent to repair it. That was 4 long years ago. It has not even successfully been kept closed where vagrants and every who can get in.
So this property has been there 4 years and not been upgraded? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, sir. It was a tax foreclosure. The county sold it. And it is still in the condition that it was. It has worsened. I think that Mr. Woodall's order says that, Mr. Wise was prevented from borrowing money from December of 2014. It's very difficult to be in this circumstance, but this building is an incredible nuisance to the business area.
So there was 2 years before he was put under this order, that he did nothing to the building, is that correct?
I'm not sure, and look at the video. You got it there?
Mr. Wise, you come up if you want to.
I know it was 2012, I looked it up this November 2012, because I looked it up this
So we had it
afternoon.
for 2 years, and nothing happened.
I know I get numerous complaints about it every month.
It was deeded to him on the 8th day of November of 2012.
It's my understanding at that time, there were still tenants there, it's a tax foreclosure. I think Barry Graves owned the property, it was foreclosed on. There was tenants located there. It took multiple months to try to get everybody out, try to get the property secured. We don't dispute the fact that they have the deed as far as when it's recorded, but it did take some time. It's my understanding that he has secured the building. He can't, if somebody goes by and kicks the door in, it's my understanding he's been notified, he's fixed it, or boarded it up. He has painted the building since those photographs were taken, and done made some efforts, as minimal as they may be, to try to better the appearance for the neighbors there. And again, I understand the city council's position that there are a significant number of vacant buildings and you get a significant number of calls. And I know that's a problem, I know it's a nuisance. But I do think that one thing, although that the council may think that he had this time from 16 months from recording the deed until the restraining order was entered, if you recall my initial arguments that, at this time, immediately following the purchase, I believe he had gone through a separation, wasn't the best time of his life. Now, that's not a legal excuse right now to the council, but that's just what he was going through at the time, and that did affect his financial ability to do some of these things. So, at this point, given the fact that he has been under an order for 2 years, we are trying to resolve this. There is a pending court date that, I don't think it's going to happen next week, but we certainly intend to try to make that happen. We don't have a problem coming back after the New Year's and trying to submit some type of plan.
It will take more than just coming into the office with something put on a piece of paper that he wants to do. That won't solve the issue that we have. Work's got to be done. We've gone through this with other people coming in the last few months, and he's got to be prepared to go ahead and start to work on it. I'm not unsympathetic to Mr. Wise, but it is a continuing problem for both the city and the surrounding area. And by the way, it was deeded to him in November of 12. the injunction or restraining order was adopted in December of 2014. So that was 2 whole years.
And also a detriment to businesses that want to come in as well.
It's a constant problem trying to upgrade the downtown areas, and Eden has taken a beating over the years. And it's a constant thing to try to get a new business to come in when you've got old dilapidated buildings down there. We hear it every single day about this type of stuff. And we put it off and put it off and put it off, and nothing's ever done.
And I don't know if the council is familiar with the building at all. I don't think it necessarily appears dilapidated, but it certainly needs some work.
Mr. Woodall, your client, Ms. Wise, what are you thinking about for the future of that building? If you have the,
My plans were to gut the bottom half of it and to make it available for a storefront, and then repair 3 or 4 units on the top half to be for apartments. When I bought the building, I bought it for the sole purpose to get the people out, because they were causing the problem, because I own 4 other buildings there in that area. And so that was my sole reason for initially buying it, was to get those guys cleared out to solve that problem. After I'd done that, we closed all the doors, locked it up. About a year later, at that point, I'd already filed for separation. We was going through the divorce process, but I did get a letter from Ms. Stoltz. We went over there and we boarded up one of the photos y'all had the window broken out with a blind hanging out. We boarded that window up, screwed all the doors shut. We periodically go by and check it from time to time. We actually repainted the whole building about a year and a half ago. And so the appearance of the building from the outside is not dilapidated. On the inside, where tenants had been that were pretty rough tenants, there was a lot of damage done inside. And so in some of that damage, we went in and started kind of gutting some of that stuff out to look at and see what we were going to do as far as a rehab. And that as far as we got until all this that Seth is now handling for the divorce that has been dragging on for 3 years through this whole process.
Didn't you buy the old hotel?
I did.
And if I remember, I was on council when you bought that, and you were gonna refurbish it and fix it up, and the facade looks awful now. It's still nothing been done to it. It's starting to really improve the downtown areas. Would I be correct in saying that?
Negative. I spent close to $100,000 on windows alone.
Yeah, I know you did that, but
And we were going to rehab the whole building, but the market changed. As you know, in 2008, there was no possible, I didn't see a way where we could turn a profit by rehabbing the building the way we had initially planned when the market took the downturn. I mean, we even have a subdivision that never got finished in Greensboro because the market turned.
the
hotel
facade on that building looks terrible.
Well, the part of the facade got taken down by the request of the city for all the awnings that were down through the city that were the old buildings. Those I agreed to have taken down, and that was part of the facade on the front of that building. The hotel, like I said, we spent close to $100,000 on the windows alone. Plus we spent another $20,000 on the roof of the hotel. The inside of the hotel got gutted. That expense was close to $50,000 in preparation to upfit it for whatever we could. With the interest in the market the way it was, that construction came to a halt. As far as the rest of the facade for the hotel, that front section that you see out there was when they took those awnings off. Throughout the whole downtown area, part of that facade was the awnings.
Woodall, with this court date coming up here, are other properties involved in this also, or is this just one property?
There's approximately 60 properties involved.
About 6 or 7 of those we have actions on for minimum housing codes that we've had for many years.
60 properties.
I'm guessing he would know.
The 73 total.
What other municipalities are working with you on these other out of our district?
I'm sorry, I didn't understand.
What other municipalities are you working with?
There's no municipalities dealing with any issues such as this at this time.
And I'm not aware of any 6 other properties that we're dealing with right now with code violations.
Okay.
Any other questions, council? Anybody else? Appreciate your time.
Yes, sir.
Anything else you want to say?
I just respectfully request that the council consider our arguments tonight. Thank you for your time.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Wise. Mr. Doherty?
The downtown manager, so I'd like to contribute to this discussion. We have a couple of new property owners. They took the buildings where Debbie Shea, they've been listed for 10 years. They took them, they rehabbed them. They're in the process of selling one, leasing another. I had someone downtown all yesterday looking at potential restaurants. As the mayor mentioned, I get grief about this all the time. There was a restaurant that was going to come to the downtown because of that specific building. They would not do it. No matter what is said, I can guarantee you that nothing will be done to that building. And I would certainly appreciate your consideration about, the city's reputation is at stake here as well. I get grief all the time, people saying, why do we allow these buildings to stay like this? And with all due respect to Mr. Wise and Mr. Woodall, it'll never happen. I'm just telling you, it'll never happen. So, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Doherty. Anything else from anyone? Well, it's time for a motion. You want to make a motion or any more discussion?
I'll make a motion. With what I've heard, what I've seen, what I've dealt with in the past, and with the time frame that we're looking at, I just don't see anything happening anytime in the next many, many months. Past performance in this case, I think, is an indicator of future performance. And so I'll make a motion that we go ahead and adopt the ordinance of demolition.
We have a
Property
motion.
at 628 Monroe Street.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second that motion.
We have a motion. There's a second. Any more discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. Motion passes. Item C, request to adopt an ordinance for the demolition of 2 mobile homes and accessory structures at 580 and 766 Thornton Street in the City of Eden Human Habitation Ordinance. Ms. Stokes.
I will share with you that I am aware that all of you got a copy of the timeline that we've prepared, that Deborah did, for all of the interactions we've had with this property since 1999. And I can tell you that some of them we couldn't trace because one rendition of the permit program lost some files. But we know that we have been engaged in actively trying to abate these violations for years. We have already demolished 1 mobile home that was on this property. There used to be 3. If you take a look at the value of this property, as we discussed earlier, both of the mobile homes, one is valued by the tax department at $1,297 and the other at $1,191. We have sent numerous notices. We have done everything we can to get the property owner to take responsibility for it, and to date he has not. The neighbors in this area have been infuriated with us as a staff and have complained for years about this site. At this point, I see no recourse but to demolish both those structures and then pursue the collection of the funds owed to the city for the first one and for these 2. Let me run through these pictures with you.
So the money is still owed for the first demolition?
Yes, sir. Here's an aerial photo, and this one shows where the 3rd mobile home was before we took it out. This is as it looks today. You can see this thing is not livable. The electrical problems alone are interesting. And then here's the other.
You can make the other picture.
That one,
Go ahead.
at this point, I can do nothing but recommend that you go ahead and allow us to demolish these things and move them off this property.
Ms. Stokes, let's look at some of the information on here. It looks like along the way, Mr. Powell has received 12 certified letters. This has been going on for 17 years. 17 years, would that be correct?
Yes, sir. It would. There have been actions that started and stopped. There were nuisances about the grass. There's been every kind of violation known to man, but as all that has gone along, the mobile homes there on the site, as obviously are vacant at the moment, and they're not livable, and there's no way you could repair them for half the values that I shared with you earlier. I see no recourse but to demolish them and clean the lot.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Powell, would you like to come up? Give us your name and address, please.
Andrew Powell, I live at 132 Lampdale Road, Union. I am a property owner. I lived there with my mother since 1966. I did move away, but I bought a house on Lampdale Road in '87. My aunt lived in the one where it showed the inside, the one that would be on the right.
This one?
No, the first.
Go back to the map, the ones. Down?
No. My aunt lived in that one until she got sick and had to be put in a nursing home. I know the city's been bombarded with every time the grass gets high. I don't know what to say when we get that grass, when nobody was living there. The second mobile home that they showed, the man has lived in it, Sammy Gannon's lived in it for about 15 years. And he just moved out in April. And I don't think that I think he got along with the neighbors, that they really hadn't had a problem. The tenants in the other trailer, they had some issues with at times. Some of them I didn't know about it till the people had known, but they had had issues at times. The mobile homes are livable. The people had moved out and left that bag of trash in there, and this was a year ago. And nobody lived in it for a year. And when I talked to Mr. Woodall earlier in the summer, I told him that I didn't really plan on renting anymore. That I did have trouble when I did rent them and people trying to tear them up. And was going to try to sell my property. Whoever buy the property, they buy a new mobile home, we'll buy a different mobile home, have it moved in and set up, problem solved. There's been all kinds of issues with the neighbors, with my tenants, and I didn't have nothing to do with it. You see people and they talk to you and they want to rent, and you try to check where they lived before, and they seem like good people. One of them was my mechanic. The one he had the most trouble with was a guy who was a mechanic before me, and I let him and his wife move in. He had a bad problem with drinking. But where I was having trouble, it's been the people who were in there last. I don't think they had trouble with them either. She wouldn't watch her kids.
What happened now?
They moved out. They moved out. It's been about a year, but right around in this time frame, they've been gone a year. And I wasn't gonna rent them anymore. And they were there right at a year, maybe a month or two longer than a year, with, with no city problems. And I know I think they helped her maybe longer or mower or something to mow the grass with once or something. I'm not sure. But on the second one, that has the picket rails up, the man that lived there for so long, he's the one that added all of that stuff to it. But the inside of both of them are sound, and they're not dilapidated, and they don't leak. That one picture of the floor that just showed the blue and white tile, that's the only, I think that's the only hole in it. Other than that, they're fine. And, I hadn't tried to cause a problem. I'm a retired law enforcement officer, and I run a car lot over at the old Seal Test Drive-In. And I have several properties around town. I've got one in Draper on High Street, right behind the barber shop. And I was having trouble with whoever I ran it to. It just, it cost more after they were there for 6 to 8 months to fix it back up than the rent was. So I've had it closed for at least 3 years. I hadn't really did it. It's just sitting there. And the market's really been where it's, if fire sold it or whatever, it's really no market.
How about the next last house on the right on High Street?
So if you come in from the Valmore, I think it's the third house on the left, right in behind you, little big barber
It's
shop.
not on the corner house, is it?
No, it's not, it's.
Married on home.
Mary? I don't remember the name. It was a man's mother that lived in the house. It's right across the street is a house. It's like 4 apartments.
Getting back to this property, have you tried to sell it or put it on the market or?
I'm in the process of that now. The gentleman who owns land beside of the Lemons he's trying to work out a deal, trading me some of his houses in town for my property there, so more of his would be together.
If you'll forgive me, even if he sold it, the mobile homes still need to be removed. Whether it's Mr. Powell or the next guy, they need to be removed.
Mr. Powell, I got a question. I look back and there's a list given here, and all the council members have it. This is like 17 years of dealing with you, and it goes anywhere from junk motor vehicles to junkyard, high grass, and junk cars, high grass, junk car removed, high grass, junk trash, dilapidated single mobile. It goes on and on and on for 17 years, and it's been 12 certified letters sent to you.
Yes, sir.
My goodness, that is just excessive for the city to have to talk to you that many times about all the different things. There's a point where you have to take care of business, and obviously you're not taking care of these things. Even one of them tenants still in power from Duke Energy, and like I said, it's been 12 certified letters sent to you, and you're still coming before us.
Well, this is the first time I've been before y'all, and every complaint is from the Lemons now.
They were.
And across the street.
When a complaint comes into the office,
One of the things is I went out there and I looked at the property myself, and the fact of it is you have a nice church in the back of your property there. You have a very nice driveway that you've been blessed by to have rock on it. I'm sure that you didn't provide for the driveway itself. And that's one of the things I noticed right off the bat, even with your entrance there. And I looked at those trailers, and we've had people come in the past here with problems with trailers. And the thing of it is they've got a couple of days on them. For tax books is looking at $2,400 total on 2 properties. And I don't know what you're thinking about selling your property for or whatever it be, but the fact of it is you're a businessman, and it's time for us to be positive in what we're looking for in the future be. And really in a neighborhood, if you tell me, you just told me you own property in High Street, and in my section of town, and I know exactly what house you're talking about.
It's kind of a ramp inside.
I know that's what it is, and raised there all my life, and I know who lived in it and everything. And before they moved out of it and the whole 9 yards. And the fact of it is you've seen across your property is a nice family dwelling. And, you know, if you had to live across from that every day, and understand you said you were raised there, and, you know, in the 70s, understand that. But that was probably different. But now it's just 40 years later, and like the mayor said, you got 17 letters at you. That's a lot. And, you know, it's time to let them go, I guess.
I mean, I would ask that y'all would just let me sell my property. They are livable. They are livable, but I won't rent them anymore. And sign an agreement that I won't rent them anymore. And you know, just let me put it on the market and sell it, and I'll be done.
Mr. Phelps, do you have a lien on that trailer?
I'm sorry.
Do you have a check on that first trailer?
We have not pursued court action for the first one yet. Our intention is to get these two down and pursue all of the funds owed to the city for mowing and the first demolition and this round of demolition. That property should stand for it. At any rate, whether it will or it won't, it is still such a problem for this area that it's my opinion that we should take them down. And you can see that we've made numerous trips there, and members of my staff have inspected those mobile homes. They are to the point that technically we could have considered them nuisances because they still have some things. But at any rate, we went through the housing code process, and it is still my opinion that they need to be demolished and moved off that property.
Kelly, that first action, there is a lien. I mean, it would constitute a lien. It's a lien. There is a lien on the property.
But we've not
foreclosed.
We've not foreclosed on it yet.
There's also this information we've gotten, I'm just guessing, does Mr. Powell owe the city close to $2,500?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And this has been going on quite a while too, has not gotten any. And how much money have we gotten from Mr. Powell for this $2,500?
None of which I'm aware.
Nothing. Okay. This goes all the way back to '07. He's owed the
I think
city
that
money.
other trailer was removed in 2010.
Anything else you want to say, Mr. Powell? I appreciate you coming out. Thanks for your time. Kathy Lemons. If you could give us your name and address, please.
My name is Kathy Lemons. I live at 764 Thornton Street. When we look out our window, we see the garbage across the street. I married that man in that red sweatshirt 18 years ago, and I built my home there beside of his parents. There's the other man sitting on that road, and that's my son. This whole time, just like the timeline you have shows, that we've been dealing with this. Back when I first started complaining and making phone calls to the city, dealing with Kelly and her staff, dealing with Bob, there was another inspector before Josh. His name was George. His name was George.
George Bates.
Mm-hmm. I couldn't remember his last name. I'm sorry. We have dealt with him for years and years, and they have worked and worked and worked. And Andy would do a little bit, and something would fall by the wayside, or like just as Kelly said, some things got misplaced and lost, and we're back again. I'm tired of looking at it. I'm tired of dealing with it. I do what I'm supposed to do. My property looks as nice as I can keep it. We rock the dirt road. We keep the road up. It's not a state maintained road. One of the biggest concerns about that property is that the white trailer that Andy speaks of, the one that you're looking at now, when someone lives in that home and they use any kind of water, or they use a washing machine, the yard suds up. Septic tank's in the front yard. I can take you right now and show you where it comes out. The grass grows nice and green and that one spot is real pretty, but it's sudsy. We like to be outside. We live it, we breathe it, mosquitoes get in it, mosquitoes bite us. It's not sanitary, it's not safe. I've not been inside either one of the homes. I'm not going in them, I don't need to. Kelly staff has been inside those properties, they presented you with what they look like. All I know is what the outside looks like. I sent all this information to the planning board. I wrote them a letter back in June. I have it here. I have all kinds of pictures. Most of these Kelly has shown you today. A lot of these show the trash that has been removed. Andy did come and remove the trash, and he did mow the grass one time this year. The gentleman that he speaks of that lived in the second trailer at the end of the road moved out, and he told us he moved out because he was afraid his floor was going to fall in when he took a bath. Most of the people that have lived in the trailer that you're looking at now, the one that Andy grew up in, are criminals. I can't, a whole ream of paper would not probably cover the 911 calls that I made to Rockingham County about issues with those people. And of course they're not there now. The one that was the biggest problem was the one that Andy spoke of that worked for him. He caused all kinds of problems, had all kinds of issues there. I don't know if it was drugs, drinking, I don't know what his issues were. EMS was there all the time, and I had the law out there every chance I could get him there. They were playing music, keeping my son up at night, he couldn't sleep. He's a straight A student in school. We want him to continue to be that way. Nobody lives in either one of these homes right now, and we want it to stay that way. But we agree with what Kelly's saying, and that's why she brought this to you, because of us, because of me. Because I keep squeaking. Squeaky wheel gets the oil, and I want it. And I would appreciate all of your help in this matter. Something needs to be done. You see, it's been going on as long as I've lived here. And I would appreciate y'all's help in demolishing these properties.
Well, thank you, Ms. Lemons.
Thank you.
Any other discussion, council?
I had a couple questions for Kelly.
Yes.
This is the zoning of that lot. You know?
We were just discussing that, I believe it's R4, manufactured housing can go in there.
It is a lot. So if he were to sell that property, somebody could replace it with a new.
But it would have to be the cut.
Right. That's fine.
And you can't have, yeah, I want you to go look for sure. Even if it's allowed, they can only put one on the lot. Can't put three on it like there was before.
And that was kind of a question. If he's actively interested in marketing the property, those things, in my opinion, would probably depreciate the value. You'd want them
Yes,
out of
sir.
the way if you could put another one there. I mean, I don't see how that.
Somebody would have to move them first. They just quite simply need to get it.
The water running in that property?
City water.
Then, the next, I have two more things. So, I heard you say that your staff recommends, or says it's unlivable. Is that, everybody that's been in those agrees that?
Yes, sir.
That they cannot be lived in? And then, the last thing is, something we had a couple months ago. We had a person here that was able to get a county grant to remove those.
They
Is
got
that
the last one.
That, okay. I wanted to see
We
if
would have
that
tried
maybe-
that already.
Okay. Just want to see if that was still available, because that makes it a little easier to swallow when you have to
Yes, sir, it does.
take care of it. But yes, I see the issue. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Anything from anyone else?
It is R4, so.
Ms. Lemons, did you say you want to say something else?
Yes, sir. When you were speaking about selling the property, when Andy mentioned he was trying to sell that, my husband has actually offered him on more than one occasion to buy the property from him, and he has denied us. And in conversations with the property owner who lives next door to us, who Andy says he has spoken with about buying the property, and of course all this is hearsay, that property owner tells us that he's not interested in buying the property. Which I don't want to own it, I just wanted to buy it to tear the trailers down. You know, I just want them gone.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to
discussion?
make a motion that we take appropriate action to on the demolition of 580 and 766
Okay.
Thorpe Street.
We have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second, any more discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. Motion passes. Item D, confirm the amount of the indebtedness of demolition costs to be collected in the same manner as special assessments. Ms. Stoltz.
Yes, sir. What you have is a series of actions that we have taken that we want to pursue collecting the money. And there are some steps in the process that require y'all's involvement. This is the last one, but we do want to get your permission to go ahead and start legal action.
Kelly, where's the 534 family road? Whereabouts that located, close to?
Blue Creek,
Well, yes, close to the one stop there on the left, the church property.
it's back down in there.
About farther than?
Yes, sir. No, and it's not the one that got filled with sewer either, that's right there.
No, it's south of Roosevelt,
Okay.
on Fourth Avenue.
Any other questions? Council, just for your information, I talked to the attorney and make a motion on this. It has to have two parts in it. One, formally establish the liens, and two, authorize legal action. You want to make a motion on it. That's formally establish the liens and authorize legal action. Is that correct, Ms.?
That's correct.
I said Burnett, Ms. Jim.
Pretty good, Reed. I'll make a motion that we formally establish the liens against the properties on 1704 Ashby Street at $3,850, and also the property with the establishing the lien against 534 Friendly Road at $3,950. And then I'd also make another authorized legal action for the property at 1704 Ashby Street, and the authorized legal action for the property at 534 Friendly Road.
Okay, we have a motion.
That's what you want?
Is that good enough,
Second.
Ms. Gilly? All right, we have a motion, we have a second. Any more discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. Motion passes. Item E, adopt order of collection for nuisance abatement fees to be collected as delinquent property fees. Well, Ms. Stoltz, you're on the show tonight.
Yes, I am. And you asked why didn't we do this all at one time, and that's because the general statutes allow us to collect this set of abatements under one process that's set up by statutes, and nuisances and such are collected as taxes. The others are special assessments, so we have to have a similar motion to establish the liens. And,
That's legal action too.
yes, sir.
So it's the same two criteria, right? Formally establish the liens and authorize legal action. Is there a motion?
Can you make a motion to cover this entire list? Is that what you?
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Okay.
it covers the list.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to formally establish the liens against this list of properties and authorize legal action.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second?
I second.
We have a motion, second. Any more discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. Motion passes. No reports from staff. Item 13, if there's no objection, I would like to adopt a motion by unanimous consent to approve the consent agenda. There is no objection, so the consent agenda is approved. Item A, oh, I'm sorry, that's all. 14, any announcements from council?
Yeah, I'd like to congratulate Mr. Reese Pearl on his election. Congratulations. As new county commissioner for Rockingham County.
Any other announcements?
I'd like to say, I'd like to give congratulations to my youngest daughter and her husband Kyle. Got married first Saturday in November. So send those out to them.
I'd like to thank Mike Daughtry for the hard work he did on the property downtown on White Street and what it's going to unfold be.
I tell you what, it's been going on a long time with all these dilapidated properties. I'm proud of the council. We made some tough decisions tonight, and the downtown area has just, I think we've got some good things going, and we need to keep it going. And, I appreciate all the council members being tough about some things and just make our city look a little bit better. And I tell you, you have to live next door to a mess. all of us would be upset about it.
Makes you proud to know the staff is not sitting in the air-conditioned building.
Well, they aren't.
We're looking at these things and finding out the truth to give to us before we can make a decision.
Okay. Any other announcements, any other comments? Last one, if there's no objection, I'd like to adopt a motion by unanimous consent to adjourn. If there's no objection, the motion is approved by unanimous consent. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming tonight.